All right, Warriors, here's your Monday One Take Wonder. This week, Venture Vets, we've got Melissa will be sharing her story when we do Veteran Stories on Thursday. So you don't want to miss that. It's been a long time coming, and we're excited to hear Melissa's story. This Saturday morning, one of our vets and still active Navy, Celeste, her ship is participating in Fleet Week. So we're going to go down to Pier 46 in Seattle at 9 a.m. on Saturday. And as a Venture Vets group, we're going to get a tour of the USS Sampson. So that's what we got coming up this week at Venture Vets. And then on Sunday at Venture, we've got Pastor Brandon Beals and Di Beals back from their sabbatical. So come welcome our pastors back, and it should be a great Sunday adventure as well. So today I've got a passage I wanted to share with you guys. This is from the book of Judges, chapter 6, and we're going to go verses 11 through 27. So to kind of set the scene here, Israel is currently being oppressed by a country called Midian. So the Midianites are oppressing them, and they're living in fear. They're doing things in secret because they're just getting raided all the time. And so we take that and we show up at Ophrah, where we run into a character named Gideon. I love this story because it's all about finding our identity through who God says we are, through who Jesus says we are, right? So now the angel of the Lord came and sat under the terebinth at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, while his son Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. So here's Gideon hiding in a winepress, beating out wheat, because he's living in fear, right? And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, "The Lord is with you, O mighty man of valor." Right? That hardly seems valorous that he's hiding in a wine press threshing wheat, and the Lord shows up and is like, "The Lord's with you, O mighty man of valor." Very contradictory to how Gideon is probably feeling and living at the moment, that he's a man of valor and that God is with them. And Gideon says to him, and we hear this in Gideon's response, "Please, sir, if the Lord is with us, why then has all this happened to us? And where are all his wonderful deeds that our fathers recounted to us, saying, 'Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt?' But now the Lord has forsaken us and given us into the hand of Midian." So Gideon's response is, where have you been? Why is this happening to us? How are you say you're with us, but this is what's going on. And the Lord responds to him. And the Lord turned to him and said, "Go in this might of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian. Do not I send you?" So again, God calls Gideon to go in the might that he has, and that he's sending him to save Israel from Midian. So Gideon is like the least person in like the least tribe, and here he is hiding, and God's showing up telling him he's full of valor, in that he has might, and that he is going to be the one who saves Israel from the hand of Midian. And so this is where we hear that. And he said to him, "Please, Lord, how can I save Israel? Behold, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house." And the Lord said to him, "But I will be with you, and you shall strike the Midianites as one man." So this is where the Lord gives Gideon strength, that he's going to be with him. His promise is to be with us. He's going to give us strength to do what he's calling us to do. We might think we're weak, but God doesn't see us that way. God says we're valorous, we have might, and that he's going to be with us when we do what he's asking us to do. And so Gideon responds, and he said to him, "If now I have found favor in your eyes, then show me a sign that it is you who speak with me. Please do not depart from me here until I come to you and bring out my present and set it before you." And he said, "I will stay till you return." So Gideon went into his house and prepared a young goat and unleavened cakes from an ephah of flour. The meat he put in a basket, and the broth he put in a pot, and brought them to him under the terebinth, and presented them. And the angel of God said to him, Take the meat and the unleavened cakes, and put them on this rock, and pour the broth over them. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord reached out the tip of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the meat and the unleavened cakes, and fire sprang up from the rock, and consumed the meat and the unleavened cakes, and the angel of the Lord vanished from his sight. So God shows him in an unmistakable miracle that he is who he says he is, and that he's with him, by waiting for Gideon to bring back the sacrifice and having fire come out of the rock and consume it just by touching it with his staff. So then Gideon perceived that he was the angel of the Lord. And Gideon said, Alas, O Lord God, for now I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. But the Lord said to him, Peace be to you. Do not fear. You shall not die. Then Gideon built an altar to the Lord and called it, The Lord is Peace. To this day it still stands at Ophrah, which belongs to the Abiezrites. So Gideon acknowledges that this is God and that God is peace, because he's given him peace. And he builds an altar to the Lord. That night the Lord said to him, Take your father's bull and the second bull 7 years old, and pull down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the Asherah that is beside it, and build an altar to the Lord your God on the top of the stronghold here, with stones laid in due order. Then take the second bull and offer it as a burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah that you shall cut down. So Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord had told him. But because he was too afraid of his family and the men of the town to do it by day, he did it by night. So Gideon's responding to what the Lord's telling him to do. He does it, but he's still doing it in fear. He does it at night, because God isn't going to compete with other gods and other lords. If he's going to show up and he's going to lead Israel, then he's not going to compete with these other gods. So we need to have God as God of our lives. He shouldn't be competing. He can't be competing with other gods in our lives. And we need to look and see what he says about us, and not what the world says about us, what our situation says about us. And we need to respond in like manner. When God says that we're people of valor, that we have strength and might, that we need to listen to him, and we need to act that way. And we need to do what he's asking us to do without question. And it's okay to ask God to show us whether the road we're on is what he's actually calling us to do, and ask him to make himself known. We see that right here, that Gideon asks him to make himself known and show him that this is really him. And he does. God shows up and he shows us. So that's what I have for you guys today. There's just so much. The story of Gideon is long, and I love it, and there's so much in it. But just that little piece right there is what I wanted to say. Our identity is in who God says we are. Our strength is in who he says we are. And we need to answer the call that he gives us. And it's okay for us to ask him questions, and to ask him to confirm his calling to us. So, cheers. We'll see you guys Thursday and Saturday and Sunday. Have a great week.